help me out with a few kind of X's and O's here. When you look at this matchup between these two guys absolutely the top of their games, who's got the edge in kind of what departments here?
I definitely will go with John, not just because he's obviously a teammate and fellow Brit, but I'll go with John just for a few reasons, like the weight. He's a weight above. The 4 ounce gloves I think suits John better. I think the preparation as well for this fight. So obviously he's been out in Denver, acclimatizing to the altitude. Where Superlek's just turning up on fight week is a little bit of a maybe a not so smart move from Superlek. But just the weight alone for Superlek, he's moving up to bantamweight. Just having that extra muscle or extra fat can sort of tire you out a little bit. I don't think he's had too much time to get used to that, because I know he took a fight at flyweight. That wasn't too long ago either, and I would have thought if you're moving up a weight, you need time to build your body up to the next weight up. So just because of these reasons, I'm giving the edge to John, but it's hard to say that because Superlek has not really put a foot wrong. He's won all his fights. Beat some really big names, Tekaru, Rodtang. These are big names. These are big punchers as well. John's a big puncher. But just for these reasons, I'd say I'd give John that edge. Yeah.
What makes John special? What does he do better than the rest of you guys do?
I think he trains smart. He prepares accordingly to what he's going to do, and it's just laser focused on the job.
How much of the narrative of this fight is about revenge?
Well, I think, he hasn't shied away from basically describing it as a revenge mission, but he's also been quite clear that he's very different from how he was in that fight that they had, 6 years ago, a long time ago. So I think more of the appeal is about how good Superlek is, how good Jonathan Haggerty is now, and that this fight is kind of to decide the pound for pound king. And I think that's, even though I like to talk about revenge because it's a good narrative, it's a good story, this is probably about proving who is the very best of the best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure John will want that win back, because it was stopped quite early, the first fight, stopped by a very small cut, which probably shouldn't have got stopped. But off the first fight, we didn't really have much to go off because it didn't really get going, that fight. So we didn't see the best out of both of them. So now we're going to see it. We're going to see the full, both of them at their best on the biggest promotion, for all the belt, the big title, and it's a massive fight, mate. Can't wait for it.
We believe that Superlek is one of the best pound for pound fighters, and that's why we've trained so hard. Even though we train hard for every fight, but this one has been an exception, and you wouldn't believe the training that we've put into this fight camp, the time and effort that me and my coach have put in. We've left our families behind, and this really does mean a lot to get this win. It's been like I've been locked away for this fight camp. I'm hibernating. I'm ready to be let loose. I remember the other day I was on my balcony here in Denver, and I just looked out to the road, and I was just like, I haven't really experienced any like life sort of experiences out here in Thailand for the last 13 weeks. It's just been strictly train, eat, sleep, and we're ready. We're really ready for this one. We're coming for revenge, but we're not going to go out there with a mindset of when you're going to steamroll him or anything like that. We're going to take our time. We've got a game plan. We're going to stick to it. Well, we're going to stick to it the best that we can. Once the elbows fly, we don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to stick to the game plan, and we've left no stone unturned. So if I can't beat him now, I doubt I'll ever be able to beat him. I think the 4 ounce gloves is a big factor in this fight. We're fighting in 4 ounce gloves now. One shot, anything could happen. My highlight reels speak for themselves, and so does his. We've knocked out people in our last fights, and we're proven to be very dangerous. So it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be fireworks for sure.
What do you see next for John if he comes through this fight? Because two things we've spoke to him about, haven't we, John, in the past is Nico Carrillo's coming through, and that is such a mouth-watering contest for us. He's also talked about potentially going after an MMA belt with one championship. What do you want to see him do?
Personally, as a fan just of Muay Thai, I would like to see the Nico fight. I think that'd be a great fight. I think Nico deserves it as well. He's been, doing really well lately. And I just think the fight itself will be just great. There's a lot of challenges there that are different actually from this Superlek fight. Nico's really big. You know, he
Yeah.
should be going up to featherweight soon. So, you know, just to see that fight, how that would play out, how the strategies would go, I think that's an interesting one again, you know, just to see who would get that, who could sort of implement their strategy. And yeah, Nico, like I said, he deserves it. He's been going on about it a lot online. So I'm sure he's up for it any day. You know, he says he's going to do it this year. Probably they'll do it maybe early next year. But we're all waiting for one to come to England, really. You know, we want to show in England. I think there's plenty of us now. And yeah, we could sell out a show here now. So outside of Thailand, we're doing the best. I'd say England as a country for Muay Thai. So yeah, why not bring it here?
That would be great, because it'd be great for like British Muay Thai and British Muay Thai fighters to have
Yeah,
a breakout moment. And this show in Denver coming up with Haggerty and Harrison on it is a step in that direction. But a big one in the UK with a great main event,
Yeah,
would be sensational.
You like a big story, obviously. That's what you're in the game for. You also like stirring. That's why you're here as well.
Yep.
So what would be more appealing to you if they were to say Jonathan Haggerty is going to become a 3-sport world champion, which is an incredible achievement in its own right, or he's going to take on this domestic grudge match with Nico?
It's got to be the domestic grudge match. You know,
Yeah.
we love that sort of personal rivalry. You know, they don't appear to like each other. Certainly Nico Carrillo's. We got a story with him on the website today saying that Haggerty doesn't want to fight him, he's going to avoid him and that kind of stuff. But Haggerty did say, when I asked him what he wanted next, he was like, he said he had to give Nico Carrillo his shot. He doesn't want to hold up his kickboxing title either. So he's certainly open to the fight. So you've got that personal grudge element. You've got the all-British element, who's the top dog on this patch. And they're great fighters. They both hit incredibly hard. Like Nico Carrillo's been knocking people out. So it's got, actually, when you put it like that, it's got all the elements, doesn't it, for a great spectacle. So it's got to be that one.
he's already beat the MMA champion as well. So I feel like that's kind of we've seen that now. You know, I'd rather for them reasons as well to see the Nico fight. You know, it's more of an entertaining fight, I would say. Yeah. You know, Liam Harrison's a big puncher. You know, he's always had good boxing. He's always got knockout shots. You know, and that's something I'm sure he'll be looking for in this fight, especially with them gloves again, like we keep talking about. You know, the thing is with his opponent here, Seksan, he comes forward. His engine is non-stop. You know, he doesn't seem to get hurt almost. Like, well, he comes back from being hurt. In fact, he'll look like he's in a bit of trouble. Then he'll come back in the later rounds and he'll start to dominate. You know, so I think with Liam, he needs to just stick to his plan, stick to like getting his shots off, hitting, and getting out of there. Basically, try not to go to war with this guy, because this guy is like, he's up for a war at all times. You know, Seksan, I think his name is the man who yields to no one. You don't want to go over war with a man who's got a name like that.
You want a yielder. You want a yielder.
You want a yielder, and that's not what he's got, unfortunately.
It's not about it.
After 2 years out, that's not what he's got. So
how do you think that will affect things? Because we last saw him in action against Nongo. Horrendous injury he suffered. He tried to come back at 167, missed out on the fight that I suppose was supposed to be a bit of a warm-up, get the rust off.
Yeah.
He hasn't had that opportunity. 2 years out at that age with that sort of an injury, how could this affect things, Liam?
Yeah, well, he's been out for 2 years, so I know he's done a lot of treatment on his knee. Like, I think he's done some stem cells, I believe. So he's done all the recovery. It seems like he's done the right thing to get back into the ring. And I know he wouldn't take a fight just for nothing. He'll be in good shape. He's done it. He'll do everything right. I know he's been training the altitude chamber as well, getting ready for Denver. But you know, his attitude actually seems quite good for this fight. It's like hearing him on interviews, he sounds really up for it. He's saying, "Listen, I'm going to take one fight at a time. I'm going to see how my body goes. I'm just here to like enjoy my fighting again. I'm not putting any pressure on myself." These are all things he said, you know, and I like the sound of that, because with no pressure on him like that, he'll probably perform his best, you know, and I'm looking forward to seeing him do that. I really hope he does well. You know, he's a British legend, and you know, he's getting on a little bit now, so he's towards the end of his career. This is all stuff he said as well, by the way. So I'm sure he'll be watching. But yeah, you know, I hope he does well. I hope he has a good end to his career. I hope one championship come to London as well, so we can have him on as well. And yeah, you know, have a last 2 good fights maybe.
It's been a long time coming. I'm like a pit bull ready to get a lot of the leash at the minute. Obviously, I came so close the couple of months back, and then I had to put it all back in the box, and then I couldn't just carry on going into training because I tried going full throttle straight back into training again. I was ready to fight, and when you're ready to fight, you've peaked. There's nowhere else to go then, so I couldn't maintain that level of training. I had to go away. And if I'd have had a fight, it wouldn't have been that hard. I'd have thought, you know what, I need a rest now. I'll rest my body and I'll go away for a couple of weeks and I'll chill out. But because I didn't have that fight, I didn't get to get in there and get let loose and have a real good fight and put everything I've done into action that I've been waiting to do. I was still I was on edge still, and I was still really ready to go. And then I thought, you know what, I need to rein it in here because I'm either going to end up getting injured or I'm just going to peak way too soon before this one. So I just had to put it back in the box for a couple of weeks and then relax and just eat what I wanted for a bit and just chill out and then get back into it again. And we did that, and I've had a good camp so far. I've said this a few times now. I wanted to fight him, and it's not out of disrespect or anything like that. It's out of love and admiration. He's been one of my favourite fighters for years and years. He's an absolute warlord. He's a warrior. And he's just a nice guy as well, to be fair, until you put him in that ring or in that cage and he turns into an absolute demon. I just thought, you know what? I fought every single legend from this era. I'll be here all day if I start naming them and stuff like that, but he's the only one who's not on there. Of the real legends from this era, he's the only one who's not on it. So that's one of the reasons. The second one, it'll just be fun. It'll be horrible, but it'll be fun. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's just going to be in for a treat. Excuse me. We're going to be going at it. You're going to get two older guys, both a bit war torn, both been in there, both done it all, who just like having a good dust up. You know what I mean? No one's going to back down. We're both going to go at it. We're going to all give it us all. We're going to go to war, and at the end of it, we're going to hug and shake hands, and hopefully we'll have put on an absolute spectacle for the fans in Denver, for everyone watching on Sky Sports over here, and everyone else around the world. I think we can create something special for them, and I'm hoping that's what we do.
I don't want to use the word retirement, but do you have an exit strategy? And could this be the last or one of the last times we see you in action?
It could be one of the last ones. Yeah, obviously I'm coming to the twilight of my career now, but I'm just going to take it one fight and one step at a time. I don't want to put any pressure on myself. I'm not going to say, right, I'm going to come back and get myself in title contention. I'm going to do this and this. I'm not even interested in that, to be fair. I just want to enjoy the fights that I have left. So I'm not putting no pressure on myself. I'm not looking past this one or looking to anything else. I'm going to put all my effort into this one. And my body will tell me I might get out of this one and be absolutely ravaged with injuries and be all falling apart. And my body will say to me, listen, you can't do this anymore. But the way I'm training at the minute and how I feel in training, if I can keep this momentum going into the fight, and if I can fight how I'm training, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I don't want to say anything either way. All I want to do is just concentrate one fight at a time, one step at a time, and let's just see.
What is it from your perspective that makes him a legend? Because there is the word that is so associated with what Liam Harrison's all about. So for you, what is it that makes him a legend?
You know what? It's for guys like myself. You know, when we were coming up, we used to watch Liam Harrison. You know, he was the guy you'd watch. You know, actually one of my favourite fights is when he fought Anuat for the second time, the rematch. That's one of the best fights ever because it was a technical match, but it was also a real brawl and a real war. You know, so it had something in between. And you know, Liam Harrison, you know, he's had loads of fights now. He's won 8 world titles. You know, he's just up there with one of the best, and I think he sort of paved the way for a lot of us guys. So that's why we all respect him. We all look up to him, and that's why we want this. You know, we want him to have a good sort of last few fights. You know, when
you spoke to him, did you get a sense of this is someone who's got one foot out, or is he still very much fully committed to the sport?
I think fully committed. I think, like we were saying, aware that physically you're not able to go on too much for after 38 years old. But one thing that struck me was I was asking him, I think, about his motivation. He was saying, every day in these hard training sessions, he asked himself, why is he doing this? He used more colourful language than that. And then he said, but then I remember what it feels like on fight night. And so he's still got that love for fighting, and he knows he's going to miss it when he can't do it anymore. So it did sound like he wants to get the most of it out of it while he still can. which I hope is a recipe for a really exciting fight.
Yeah.
Hopefully, a really exciting couple of fights left.
That's what I was saying. You know, he's saying all the right things in the interviews, like just things like that. You can tell he's up for it. You know, just saying I'm not putting no pressure on myself. I'm just going to go out there and I'm enjoying my boxing. And I think when fighters are like that, that's when we see them at their best. You know, so I'm hoping that he'll come out and perform well on this one.